I hope you're all out there having the best day possible. And as always, I appreciate you taking a bit of time out of that day to actually watch one of my videos. And speaking of appreciation, someone left a really well thought out comment the other day, making a few different points, but I wanted to respond specifically to the last thing they said because it was actually more of a question, and they even said that they'd be happy to hear my thoughts on it. So if you ever have a question of your own, just let me know in the comments, and I would be happy to actually discuss it in a future video. But what they essentially asked was, what makes silver real money any more so than any other commodity out there? Because it's something that I know I always refer to as being real money and being a real store of your value. But obviously there's many other commodities that have also had a very strong proven track record of holding value and even growing in value as well. And it's not like I have some definitive fact that's like, oh, this is the way it is and there's just nothing else to it. This is meant to be a conversation, and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts. And if you have your own thoughts and you end up disagreeing with mine, please let me know in the comments, and I would love to learn from you and have the chance to actually discuss it with you. But the reason I think silver stands out so much is the way that it's been so universally valued for thousands of years by many different human societies, regardless of their cultural differences and own societal priorities. It has continued to be something that humans have valued, not for its utility, keep in mind, but for its precious nature and for its beauty. Humans have decided to value silver despite the fact that it wasn't something that they could use to make tools, despite the fact that it was not necessary for them to live. Humans, long before we evolved to the point where we are today, where we take a lot of material things for granted, humans still chose to go out of their way to actually produce silver coins to use for their money, to produce silver jewelry so that they could wear because they found the metal to be beautiful. And overall, despite the fact that it was not a necessary thing for them to do, humans were still drawn to the beauty and the rarity of silver. And I know this is absolutely true for gold as well, but I'm going to address that in just a second. The overall point I'm really trying to make here is that despite no ruler or government telling humans that silver is to be valued, and despite there being no basic utility that silver was valued upon, like food for example has always been valued by humans because of course it is necessary for them to survive, silver has managed to continue to be valued because of its actual rarity and of itself. And I think that silver then has essentially eternal value because no matter what else is going to happen in the world, human societies will continue to value it the way that they have for thousands of years up to this point. Especially because of the fact that modern industries have actually created a utility for silver. So when it was already being valued by humans for so long without it, now there's actual stress on silver supply from the fact that it is necessary for certain electronic components. Maybe the device that you're using right now has a little bit of silver in there. I know that it can be used in solar panels. There's a lot of use across the world for it that never even existed before, on top of that inherent value from human nature itself. And the reason that I do focus on silver over other precious metals is because I also think that it's much more accessible to the average investor. An ounce of gold is going to cost most people too much money to simply buy. They're going to have to end up with fractional gold, which nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I definitely believe in stacking a little bit of fractional gold if you're able to, but what I do think is that silver allows you to actually acquire a somewhat respectable quantity of the metal without having to spend money that you can't necessarily afford. I feel as though gold is more of money for the wealthy person, while silver is really money for the actual people, for the average person like myself out there who couldn't afford to get ounces of gold at a time. And beyond that, I also think that, and this is completely my speculation, but I really do believe that silver is much more heavily manipulated than gold because of the fact that it has more industrial value and because of the fact that people realize who, are really high up, the people that want to suppress the price of these metals, they realize that allowing silver to trade at its fair price would be the most dangerous thing of all. Because here's what I do understand is that silver is, I'm pretty sure, about 12 times more common than gold, or there's about 12 times more physical silver available than there is physical gold. Despite the fact that silver is usually 60, 70, 80 times cheaper than gold, and I certainly don't believe that this discrepancy comes from gold being overpriced, but I also have noticed that silver generally tends to be more volatile than gold, especially when it comes to these rapid price drops, which I think is even more of a clear sign of heavier manipulation on silver than gold. The fact that silver changes by a much larger price percentage than gold at a time, and when silver has had times where it's actually broken free, its value is increased by a much larger percentage than gold as well. But that is, of course, just my thoughts. And again, I would love to hear yours in the comments below. But that is it for this video now. And if you don't mind sharing with a friend who might actually enjoy it, if you found yourself enjoying it at least, and dropping a like and comment so that more people can actually see this video in the YouTube algorithm, I would highly appreciate those things. But that is truly it for this one now. Peace.